Hello Internet, and welcome back to my series of film reviews. Last time we covered Blue Beetle, and throughout the month of September, I'll be taking a look at some recent live-action Disney remakes, after I tackled Pinocchio last year, as well as The Little Mermaid. Our first up is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life, 2019's The Lion King. I made a poll on my YouTube community page not long ago, asking which remake you wanted me to tackle first, and most of you said 2019's The Lion King. After that, I'll tackle 2019's Lady and the Tramp, 2017's Beauty and the Beast, 2020's Mulan, 2019's Dumbo, and 2019's Aladdin in that order. Now I have two rules when it comes to reviewing these live-action Disney remakes. Rule number one, they must be on Disney+. I don't want to waste any money buying any of these movies on Blu-ray, or rent them on YouTube or Amazon Prime. Rule number two, I must watch the original and the remake back to back. Last I checked, 2015 Cinderella and the first Maleficent movie were not on Disney+, and I really don't want to have to buy them on Blu-ray or pay extra money to rent them on digital. So I will not be doing reviews of 2015 Cinderella or the two Maleficent movies, even though Maleficent Mistress of Evil is on Disney+, while its predecessor is not. But if anybody wants me to review the Maleficent movies, let me know. Also, I've never seen Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland or Alice Through the Looking Glass. I might do those in the future, but I'm not sure. And as I've stated in my review of 2023's The Little Mermaid, I will not be reviewing Peter Pan and Wendy because I just don't feel like it. Directed by Jon Favreau, famed director of Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Elf, Cowboys and Aliens, Zathura: A Space Adventure, 2016's The Jungle Book, and The Mandalorian, 2019's The Lion King follows the exact same storyline as the 1994 animated classic. This movie stars Donald Glover as Simba, Beyoncé as Nala, Donkey Kong himself Seth Rogen as Pumbaa, Billy Eichner as Timon, Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar, Alfred Woodard as Sarabi, and the only actor to reprise his role from the 1994 animated classic, James Earl Jones as Mufasa. While it was great to hear James Earl Jones' voice again as Mufasa, he just sounded off this time around. They didn't recycle any of his old dialogue, and just had him record new lines, which do not sound the same as they did in 1994. While this movie is marketed as a live-action remake, there's nothing live-action about The Lion King. Apparently, this was done with nothing but visual effects, and still to this day, I have no idea how this movie was made. Did they use photorealistic CGI? Did they use actual cameras to film in real-life locations? Was this entire movie made with computer animation? If it was the latter, then it would have started with Steamboat Willie whistling his merry little tune to go along with the Walt Disney Animation Studios intro. But it did not. Why? Because this was marketed as a live-action remake, when in actuality, this movie had absolutely zero live-action characters unlike The Jungle Book. All the songs from the 1994 film sound the same, but my absolute least favorite thing about this movie was Chiwetel Ejiofor's take on Be Prepared. It's not even a song! It's just a speech disguised as a song! And instead of me screaming my head off saying how awful it was, I'm just going to include a clip from the menu to express my rage.
Wow. Wow. It's actually quite bad.
And boy was this entire sequence bullshit! Of course I wasn't allowed to scream my head off at the theater when I saw it, because I would have been kicked out of the theater, but I did contemplate walking out. But I didn't. However, with the Disney Plus remakes like Lady and the Tramp and Pinocchio, I actually did end up screaming my head off because of how bad they were. There are only 3 remakes that didn't make me go down that path, and they are Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and The Little Mermaid. And let's talk about the designs of the characters. While it's interesting to see photorealistic versions of your favorite characters from the 1994 film, the final product just looks bland and lifeless. Like, they have the same expressions on their faces whenever they're supposed to express sadness or anger. With characters like Darth Vader, or Spider-Man, or Deadpool, or Iron Man, whose faces are almost never seen, you can never tell which emotions they're feeling because you can't even see their faces, unless they take their masks off. Same with someone walking around town protecting themselves from COVID while wearing a mask. You can't tell if they're happy, sad, or angry. But here in 2019's Lion King, they show no emotions! That is how bland and lifeless this movie is. The 1994 film was colorful, full of life and energy. Not to mention you can see the fear in young Simba's eyes when the stampede is going on. It's reasons like this that are why the animated movies in which these remakes are based on are far superior. With animation, they do things that are damn near impossible to perfect in live action, such as talking animals living in the Pride Lands. And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse than this steaming pile of garbage, we had to get a live-action remake of Pinocchio, which was just as bland and lifeless. And I've already complained about Pinocchio one too many times. Now I'm complaining about The Lion King. And of course they had to include Seth Rogen's classic style of humor, consisting of blatant fart humor, a full rendition of The Lion Sleeps Tonight by the Tokens, and a snippet from another iconic Disney song, Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast. Because of course they had to include a song from another remake. Now Beauty and the Beast, there were things that I liked and things I didn't very much care for. While the visuals were nice, I did not like how Emma Watson was completely auto-tuned because she is not a singer. I feel like half of the live-action Disney remake characters are non-singers, and they had no choice but to auto-tune them. However, Halle Bailey in The Little Mermaid actually can sing, and she's absolutely wonderful. But in The Lion King, they hired professional singers like Beyonce and Donald Glover. They did a fine job singing classic Disney songs, but not even that could save the movie from being an absolute snooze fest, not to mention an eyesore. I'm giving 2019's The Lion King a 2 out of 10. That's a much lower score than I gave Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And there's a reason behind it. It's completely lifeless and bland. It almost looks like a shot-for-shot remake of an animated classic. Kinda like the 1998 remake of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Of course I only ever saw the 1960 film, and not the remake, and for a good reason. But I'll save that discussion for another time. When this was first greenlit, I was not happy. But I decided to give it a shot anyway. And boy, was that the biggest mistake of my young adult life. I hate everything about this remake, especially how they butchered one of the most iconic Disney villain songs ever, and every single character's faces lacked any ounce of emotion. In the original animated film, you could see the fear and anger in their faces, but in this movie, there's absolutely none of that. None, I tell you! The songs sound the same for the most part, and not even James Earl Jones' return as Mufasa could save this film from being boring, lifeless, and an all-out insult to the legacy of the 1994 film. Stay tuned for all my upcoming reviews and projects coming soon. I think the next film review I'll do is Lady and the Tramp, but I will let you all know via my YouTube community page later down the line. Till then, I'll see you all next time.